That brings us then to our consent agenda. We have no consent agenda. Under old business, public hearing, we have a first reading on action on ordinance for the adoption of the operating and capital improvement budget for fiscal year 2014. Mr. Sanders.
Mayor and Council, since this is the first reading, I just have a few notes to go over for the proposed budget, which has been submitted and been the subject of a work session that lasted several hours. And it is a balanced budget in the amount of $10,382,802. We do have a budget hearing scheduled, a public budget hearing on May the 30th at 7 o'clock. The copy of this budget will be available online in the morning. You can also come by City Hall and pick up a hard copy. There's a copy of my notes at the back of the room, and I just kind of wanted to hit some of the high points in this proposed FY14 budget, which will begin on July 1. Well, our biggest revenue source in our budget every year is the property tax, and that depends on our tax digest and the level of tax digest, which is the amount of taxable property in our city. At the top of my notes, I just wanted to give you a little history as far as the tax digest is concerned. In 2008, the City of Snellville tax digest was valued at $851 million. This year, the projection is $669 million. That's almost a 25% reduction in the last 5 years. A lot of people have been hit hard in your pocketbooks, in your spending, and local governments are no different. Whereas that number used to provide about 50% of our general fund revenue, we're down to a third now. That puts a lot of pressure on other revenues and other items that we need to come up with to operate. And I know I haven't been here very long, but I think the department heads and the mayor and council have done a good job in kind of battening down the hatches and keeping the service level at a high level for a community of our size. In this budget, there are no new employees requested. There will be one in our dispatch department, which the SDS agreement will pay for. That's a necessity. We're adding a console, and our call volume is up. Within this budget, there are several new items that will be included that have come about in the last year or two that we really haven't been able to address. One of those is a quality of life demolition. We have a lot of properties that have gone downhill over the course of the last few years. We have not been able to really address those through a concerted legal effort. We're doing that now, and we are budgeting $30,000 more or less as a demonstration project where if we get to the legal point, we'll take down a home, and it will be a message to the other property owners that aren't keeping their properties up. Also included in this budget are a couple of small $5,000 earmarks. I mentioned earlier that we do not have a grants person on our staff. One of those $5,000 earmarks is for targeted selective grant efforts, as well as public information efforts. We've only started recently trying to contract with some local media folks to get our message out. We need to do a better job of that. The City of Snellville does a good job in a lot of areas. We're doing a lot of things. So there are a lot of people in this room who have volunteered and pushed the efforts of city government, and we need to get that message out better. Within this initial budget, there is a $5,000 earmark to do that. There is also what I call a carryover. In this current year's budget, there was about $443,000 budgeted to fund the LCI project. We are just now getting to budget approval and Georgia DOT approval to actually bid and start that project. You're going to hear about a contract with an engineer on an item that comes up later on the agenda. But that money has not been spent this year. It will lapse back into the general fund, but I need it next year to complete the LCI project, which is the pedestrian amenities, street improvements, sidewalk improvements along Clower, Oak, and Wisteria. Wonderful project that will add to our central business district town center. Those are some of the things that we're trying to account for in our budget. Another thing that has been of interest to a lot of people, our town green has been used a lot in the last couple of years. A great park green space in our central business district. There have been plans to complete the green, which includes a low wall along the 78 corridor, some columns, monument signing. That money is in this budget. We may be able to use SPLOST money for that. We're doing that research right now. So that could be money that we save between the first and second reading of this proposed budget. I certainly hope so. I mentioned the pressure on our revenue situation. That's nothing new. It's dealt with, different communities. Every community has to deal with that. We're looking at the potential for new revenue sources. One that I will propose, have a first reading, I'll work with the city attorney on, is basically an excise tax that the state legislature has put in a tax reform package that is allowed for local governments to put into place an excise tax on motor vehicle rentals. We have 5 or 6 business in town that rent everything from U-Hauls to SUVs to regular cars, and that 3% we estimate could bring in as much as $90,000 or $100,000 a year. This is something that other governments have taken advantage of, and I'll be making that proposal at our next meeting. We're going to look everywhere we can for needed revenues, but I feel like this budget that is being proposed, which will be available for public consumption, I certainly invite you to the budget hearing, and I think we'll have a second reading at our June meeting, June the 10th. Some work to do before then, but I think it's a solid budget, one that we can meet and that will maintain our service level that we currently offer our citizens.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders. Do I have a motion to waive the first reading and place it on our June 10th agenda?
So moved.
There's a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Woods. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Emmanuel. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. 6 in favor. All those opposed. 0 opposed. The motion stands approved. That brings us to item number B, consideration action on a resolution to extend a moratorium for assisted living facilities, community living arrangements, family personal care homes, and group homes. This is already a moratorium that we have in place. We're looking to take action to extend this moratorium while our staff works on revising our existing ordinance. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
There is a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Witz. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Emmanuel. And because this is on the public hearing, I will open this up for any public comment. If anyone would like to speak for or against this resolution, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Marcy Fair, 1749 Ridgedale Drive. I'm for it. What I would like to know is, how long are we extending the moratorium?
It will end at midnight on August 31st, 2013.
Great.
Any other public comment? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment portion. Call the question. All those in favor of approval of the resolution to extend a moratorium for assisted living facilities, community living arrangements, family personal care homes, and group homes signify by raising your right hand. 6 in favor. All those opposed. 0 opposed. The resolution stands approved. Now moving on to our new business, we have a resolution adopting the official colors for the city of Snellville. This is Resolution 2013-13, official colors of the city of Snellville. Whereas the city of Snellville is a dynamic and vibrant city, and whereas to promote an organization such as the city of Snellville, it's essential for the organization to have a single, unique, and recognizable image. And whereas the city of Snellville has an official seal, flag, and slogan, However, to date, the City of Snellville has never adopted official colors. And whereas it is important to the City of Snellville to create a brand that complements the city's past and promotes the image of its future. And whereas in order to create a look and feel or a brand for the City of Snellville, there must be consistency in the colors used by the city. Whereas the mayor and council desire to encourage the marketing and branding of the city, and now therefore be it resolved that in an effort to enhance the branding of the City of Snellville, the mayor and city council hereby approve, adopt, and confirm as the official colors of the city the primary color of blue, specifically PMS 282, and the secondary color of Vegas gold, specifically PMS 7403. Be it further resolved that these official colors should be used in all official materials and promotional items developed and or distributed by the City of Snellville, its departments, commissions, committees, or agents on behalf of the city. Resolved this 13th day of May, 2013. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2013-13?
Madam Chair, I'll make the resolution to accept that resolution of adopting the official colors for the City of Snellville.
There is a motion by Councilman Kraus. Is there a second?
Second in blue.
Second by Councilman Emmanuel. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I'd just like to make a comment. This may seem a little trivial, but it's going to make our signage and everything else we do in the city more consistent, easier, because there'll be known colors. You won't go somewhere and have somebody say, well, what color blue do you want? Because there's 50 of them. And I think ultimately may even reduce some of the costs because we can maintain that consistency. We know what we're doing before we get there in terms of color choice. So I think it's got a little bit more impact. It's certainly not a major issue, but I think it's time we did approve an official color and adopt it.
Additional comments? For those of you that weren't in our previous work sessions, the colors we're selecting, the blue color is a shade of blue that is used by South Gwinnett High School. The Vegas Gold is one of the colors of Brookwood High School. It's also used by Grayson High School, so it incorporates the local colors used by our schools that we feed into here in the City of Snellville. If there's no further discussion, I'll call the question. All those in favor of Resolution 2013-13 signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. All those opposed, that's 0 opposed. The resolution stands approved. Moving on, consideration action on approving AMC contract for LCI project, letting, bidding, construction support, and testing services, and authorize the mayor to execute the contract. Mr. Sanders, you want to give us any background?
Mayor, this is the aforementioned contract, which is a necessary step to allow the LCI project to move forward. It's a proposed contract with AMEC Engineering that has been the engineer on the project from the beginning, from design on through the approved plans which we've submitted to DOT. It is in the amount of $78,250. The GDOT allowance for this budget item was $101,780. I feel this is it's a good number, and it will pay for engineering till the completion of the project.
Do I have a motion to approve the contract?
Motion to approve the contract.
With AMEC?
With AMEC.
There is a motion to approve the contract with AMEC. Is there a second? Second. Second by Councilman Sabag. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Excuse me. That's 6 in favor. All those opposed, 0 opposed. The motion stands approved. Consideration